Hey everybody, welcome back to the wrong end of the snake. Toby Francis has graciously agreed to spend another 30 minutes or so with us. That time just flew by. We were just laughing here offline here a minute ago, talking about we basically just got to Aerosmith and that's it in your career. And there's about 50 bands after that you've done.
We went pretty fast after that.
Yeah. Yes.
The slow part was the build up. Once it started, it was.
Yeah, well, I think that's true for any job, anybody, right? You know, have to build your career. I was working for years as a sound guy, either in the studio or doing live shows before you gave me the opportunity to mix Kiss. As soon as I mixed Kiss, as soon as that was on my resume, then it was like, you know, got a bunch of bands.
Well, and that came about. I mean, I didn't really know you.
You didn't know me at all.
I basically got you in there without knowing firsthand.
Yes.
I mean, Robert swore to me.
I've always wanted to ask you why you did that.
I wanted out that badly.
I was gonna say you wanted out that bad, yeah.
And I really liked Robert. And yeah. Robert and I had been comrades. We served in the KISS Army together.
Yes.
You know, we were both privates. We were grunts. We worked our way up from private.
Yeah. Well, you know that he and I were, thick as thieves and worked together for many, many bands. And I was on a tour with him when he got the call to be Paul's guitar tech.
Yep.
And I remember vividly, there was a moment where we were both in a, Holiday Inn room, sharing a room together. And he's like, dude, I don't know what to do. Like, should I go? I go, dude, it's KISS. Would you please go take the gig and then get me the gig? And that's exactly what he did. So,
but very quickly out there, because I was with KISS before he got there.
Yeah.
And I didn't have many allies there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an odd place to work, and especially when the original guys came back, and Robert was key to their success in that endeavor, probably more than anybody, And then once you get in the trenches with somebody like that, and you start pulling off miracles, and nobody patted us on the back.
That's right.
And those guys made $500 million in merch and we got exactly what they told us they would pay us.
Yep.
But we also got that friendship that came out of that because we fucked with each other beyond that.
To this day.
Well, and the only reason now is he does more rock stuff and I haven't been, for a little while, but that relationship was, I felt, and I trusted him. He told me you could do it because I remember us talking about it. It's like, this is all for nothing if he doesn't.
If I don't deliver.
If he doesn't deliver. And my only reservation was how hard it was because they weren't. And that's with triggering the drums and creating their own amps for the guitars and the deficiencies with. They didn't get famous for sounding fucking good.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I think anybody that's worked for KISS has been in the back lounge of a bus going, I can't make this band sound good. I can't do it. It's not fucking possible. Can't do it.
Well, yeah. Well, the reunion tour, I had 2 good shows.
Yeah.
And one of them, Ed Cannon, the drum tech played.
Right.
And the other one, Peter was on fire.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to die that night because it was like, God, this has got to be his last fucking performance. And Peter was the nicest guy there.
Oh man, he was the nicest guy to the crew. He was always, always talking to us, and he was always killer. My favorite thing, I think we always laugh about a story between us where you watch Peter play drums, and he is just, like barely hitting the snare drum, but the trigger is so huge that like on the huge video screen, you can see him just like barely tapping the snare drum, but the sound is like, and we used to laugh all the time seeing the video screen of him just barely touching the snare drum and it being this huge amount, huge sound.
But if you can make a band like that sound presentable,
Yeah.
that sharpens your skills. I mean,
Yeah,
as much
for
as
sure.
it sucks at the
They were
time,
tough. That was tough.
you get to where when you get to the really good bands, and the thing with pop bands, they're the best players
Man, I know.
probably ever. And if it's not, we get rid of them and get someone who is. That's why it's so good. You don't have the constraints of it being a union of any sort. They just work there the way we do.
Yeah, right.
So the end result you can take further. I want to do. I don't know what I'm going to do from here.
What are you going to do from here?
I just got robbed out of one of my last years. That's the lost income is one element, but more than anything, it's the lost opportunities that, I'm going to hit the wall at some point, and this is what I'm going to think of when I do is, that
I lost a year. I mean,
I think we're going to lose more. I mean, not in time, but in making up, we've lost more than a year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be more than that to make it up. So, yeah.
And Tater and I are the kings of working for legacy acts. So it's not so much that we're losing the years, but how much longer?
Exactly. That's, I think, and some of the artists that are like the Iron Maiden guys, or like ZZ Top was about to start their farewell tour.
Yeah.
50 some years, 52 years, I guess, into it.
Goodness.
But they lose, and at their age, they will lose.
And that. People that have been around that for, how long has Jake been there? He's been there now. 17
years, I think.
Yeah. Wow. Right. So he's going, oh man, I'm losing this year. And now are they going to come back? Or, it's tough, man. It's tough.
Well, in your mind, isn't it? Yeah.
The uncertainty is, I think, bothering people more than anything. And this whole notion that it'll never be the way it was.
Right.
I've heard that so many fucking times in my life. Every time something bad happens, it'll never. Well, somehow it always is. Yeah. There's too many damn people now.
Yeah.
It will certainly go back to what it was. It'll be different. It'll be done in a slightly different way. There'll be the playing field's being reorganized a certain bit. And we were talking about friendships and being cordial to people you work with, even if they're from the other team, so to speak. Well, guess what? The teams change a lot. If you're going to be rude to somebody because you don't like the fact that he's got brown boxes instead of black boxes, and you're going to motherfuck him up a storm, you might be working for him in 2 years, regardless of what his role is. Treat everybody like they might be signing your paycheck in the future. And what's the worst thing that can happen? You're wrong.
Yeah, right.
It's if you're
right. If you are wrong.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And
it is such a small business. I don't think that younger kids that are coming up in this realize how tight it is and how easy it is to work yourself right out of this industry if you have a couple of instances of you being a dick.
Well, I think people, when they enter this industry, should think about what part of their life they're willing to give up. Because if you do this the right way, you can get successful, make a good amount of money, and get out, have a whole successful career in 20 years. Nobody does.
Yeah.
You're typically overambitious in your personal life, what you think you can manage and not be there. So add some alimony to the equation.
Yes.
And add child support because you think you can raise kids.
And living beyond your means.
Yeah.
Well, you're making up for the fact that you're not there.
That's right.
And it's never really gonna stop.
Yeah.
And so the guilt starts driving the decisions. I changed genres to make my daughter feel better.
Yeah, yeah.
But guess what? It made me feel better too.
Did
He
it?
introduced
Good.
me. It put me in a happier place with people that it was more corporate enough in the right ways. We got treated better.
Yeah.
There's more organization. You're greeted with a smile.
Yeah.
You know, if you've ever done a tour with Kim Hilton as your,
Yeah.
or Carmen Rodriguez, you've never been taken so good a care in your life.
Yeah.
You know,
Kim's
it's like,
great.
yeah, well, and that type of touring where you feel like your role is appreciated,
Yeah.
even if you're the teleprompter guy.
Yeah, that's right.
You know? And that world seems to approach it that way more than the rock world. The artists talk to a couple of the people, and they don't want to know about any of the rest of it. And
That is true.
We did, we got into this industry because of our love for music and, our part of the problem, the thing that I'm struggling with the most this year is I don't have that artistic outlet per se. I am mixing some stuff here, but like there's something about that artistic outlet and that connection that we talked about earlier about, 10,000 people screaming for something that you're doing that I'm not getting. So outside of the money, the loss of this, which is a financial disaster for everybody that's in this industry, I'm not getting that connection, that artistic connection. And I don't know that I'm ever going to be happy quitting this business and not have something for that. Like, have you thought about that? Like, as you get to the point where you're like, hey, I'm going to retire, isn't that something that you're going to miss?
I think it'll be weird not getting the opportunity if I choose to have that outlet or not. That to say no more Showtime calls, no more that feeling of the house lights going out. When that happens for the last time, that's going to be hard.
I think so.
And making a conscious effort to do that. And I'll probably, because I don't really want to retire per se, because I do like to work as long as what we're doing is easy.
Yeah.
But I like to accomplish things. I built a desk for my wife the other day. She's not using it, but but it seemed to mean a lot to her that I took the time to do it. That was probably the most creative thing I've done in a while. I get to mix monitors for Ariana Grande Saturday.
Yeah.
That'll be probably my last day there.
No, it won't. When was the last time you mixed monitors? That's got to be a while.
The last time I mixed monitors was for Prince.
Wow.
From front of house.
Oh, from front of house, yeah.
Yeah.
14-piece band.
When was that? What year was that?
You left Slash to do that, or we finished Slash and you went straight to it.
Well, they fired everybody, and they were trying to find somebody that had been there before that would get welcomed back, so he wouldn't pull the plug on the tour. And they had 2 weeks of shows left. We had a 2-week break, so I went to do that. And
I remember
I didn't know.
Like somewhere like Croatia or somewhere.
Croatia.
Yeah.
I flew from Croatia to Oslo, and the adventure began. It took me about 20 minutes to figure out I was mixing monitors because I couldn't find a monitor board. No one had told me because they had fired everybody that had that knowledge.
Right.
So the new guys didn't know. I found the new production manager that had called me, and it was a lot of money. They were paying really.
Oh man,
well.
Yeah.
But a typical day was you started at 9 o'clock getting front of house to work because it was, 72 channels of heritage, and there was an extender, a big console, that extra big frame they made that wouldn't fit sideways in the truck. And he wouldn't let us have more than 2 audio guys. So it was me and 2 guys, and we had 3 trucks.
Wow.
Because we were doing outdoor festivals.
Yeah.
We would load in the day before. All I did was front of house, and he would come in and direct the sound check, which was awesome. To be honest, it was worth doing because he would be in front of house and he would walk you through whatever you're working on and educate you if you needed it. But in the most delightful way, to be honest. It was an absolute, I would pay $5,000 a day to have that experience again.
Yeah.
Especially knowing that he's not gonna, it was beyond master. This was a whole new level of
genius level.
A genius sharing his little tricks. Like with the hi-hat one day, he goes, "Are you happy with your hi-hat sound?" And I said, "Well, actually, I was until you just asked me." And
I thought I was.
yeah. And he goes, "Well, first, do you know the role of the hi-hat in the beat?" And I go, "Well, we called him Boss because we didn't know what the fucking name."
What else are you gonna call him?
All right.
Well, I saw somebody calling Prince one day, and I never saw them anymore. So, and they were on the tour, or had been. But I said, "Boss, I would love for you to tell me." And he goes, "Well, the hi-hat is the glue that holds the beat together. If you put too much glue in, it's sloppy and you end up getting glue everywhere. And if you don't put enough, the beat will come apart." And he goes, "And forget all that sizzle stuff. Nobody cares about the sizzle, you know." And this was the religious Prince, so he didn't swear. And he was actually very, it was a good time if you got him early in the day. Yeah. Later in the day, he was less easy to be around.
Yeah.
But I think about him every time I fuck with, and I boost more like 2K instead of, the 5K that everybody else seems to favor.
It's so weird. Like I had an experience similar to that with Bruce Swedien when I assisted him. He was super big proponent of no hi-hats. It was always like sleigh bells or I forget whatever else the instrument that he used, but it sounded kind of like sleigh bells. But he had the drummer never play hi-hat. There was always an overdub of like sleigh bell stuff. If you listen to Michael Jackson stuff now, go back and check it out. Most of the time, the instruments that's playing the hi-hat part is a sleigh bell. And he was kind of along the same way. He would say to me that same shit that Prince was saying to you. Very interesting.
Well, yeah, it's the hi-hat's overused in music.
Yeah, it's true.
It really is, and misused a lot.
And overplayed too, like guys trying to do, stupid.
It's the least offensive thing for them to hit over there.
Yeah, I guess.
If they hit anything else, it fucks everything up.
I always, I did one tour with Prince, and Cubby was mixing it then, and I always felt with Prince, his problem was he's frustrated because no one else is on his level. You know what I mean? He's like everyone is. How do you not get that? I'm not you. That's how. You know what I mean? Everything was so easy and so musical to him, and I think he was frustrated with how you couldn't understand something that was so easy for him. I think to me was a lot of it.
Well, each artist has their own set of challenges. The lack of privacy that they're struggling with is common to all of them, but that on different levels. I twice have gone to Disney World with Ari. Have you ever gone to Disney World with a pop star?
No. I can't imagine.
Jesus Christ! If they will.
Wait, I've never been to Disney World. Hold on.
No,
if she invites me, I'll go.
That sounds
horrible. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And we were just with her. I mean, the second time I left, they went right, I went left and took a cab back to the hotel because we were running from them a lot, because they were affected by her presence. And I think a lot of, I've watched crew people, like Claire people, I walked by catering one day and Ari was sitting there talking to the whole sound crew. And I went, oh, Jesus Christ, this can't be good. And went over and then found out later that the SE was the only one that actually talked to her.
Right.
The rest were too afraid to really, they just went quiet when she walked up. Dean's from Australia, you know, Australia is like a big Texas, you know. They're not afraid of anything.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's from Tasmania, which that's a whole new level of fucking badass. And he talked to her the whole time. And after she came over to me, she goes, I met your crew. And I go, yeah, I saw you over there with. She goes, I really like the Australian guy. What's his name? I go, Dean. He goes, she was neat. He talked to me.
Right.
She was impressed that he would, because that's what she wants is, you know, to maintain some level of normalcy.
Yeah.
Which is a struggle. It has to be. Kanye has mastered that shit now. I mean, the last thing I did with Kanye, he didn't even perform. He just walked around and talked to people in the crowd. You know, with no.
A lot of subs for talking to people.
Yeah, it's a lot of subs for talking to people. If you didn't go to that last Kanye thing that Toby mixed, it was an incredible amount of sub information. It was like, you know, eyeball rattling sub. But you know, it's one thing that I've always noticed that's a little bit different in our careers. You seem to always develop a relationship with pop stars, whereas I kind of shy away from that. I'll talk to them and give them the straight up, but I'm like, I don't want to like develop a relationship where they have my cell phone. Like, I'm not that guy. So speak to that. Like, well, I know you've made a career of that. Like,
it's not something I've set out to do.
Okay.
Honestly, it's I have become friends, like real friends. Billy Gibbons, I love to death.
Yeah.
You know, I'll stop whatever I'm doing, take a phone call from him. Kanye, I will stop anything I'm doing, even if it doesn't involve me getting paid or something like that. He's a very interesting person to talk to. I've become a huge fan of Kanye's, not just his music, but the guy's brilliant.
He is
a whole new level of brilliant. And I've been around a lot of brilliance. So I know what he looks like.
Well, I was an election official, and I can tell you this, in my precinct, he got 2 votes.
2, that's pretty high for
you know what?
Wasn't even on the ballot.
Yeah.
He got what he wanted out of it.
Yeah, I bet.
There's a few billionaire rappers. How many have run for president?
1.
Did you see the picture of him voting for himself?
No, I missed it.
It said it all. That's what he wanted.
Yeah.
All it cost was $7.5 million. We spent more for birthdays.
Sure.
Oh, right, yeah.
Parties at his house. We've spent more than that many times. The man is not afraid to spend money if it makes him happy or makes somebody else happy.
Sure.
You know, I've seen him give people money. Like he gave I probably shouldn't talk about this.
It's all right.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
If he believes in what's going on, that guy will give everything he's got if he needs to. And he's so tied to his artistic vision that money is not going to get in the way. Yeah. He's not going to not have it exactly the way it should be for the audience because of money, even if it means he will lose money to do it. You know, nobody believes more in making it perfect than that man.
Wow.
And you'd laugh by some of the stuff we've done, but some of it was, I mean, Glastonbury, his performance at Glastonbury, including the off-key "We Are the Champions," which was a joke because they had mocked him. They had a petition for him to not be there. The fact that they gave him a standing ovation, he came back and sang one of their songs and let them sing it with him. And it was kind of a, we are the champions, aren't we?
Yeah.
So I voted for him.
I voted for him.
I never had a client run.
Yeah, I've never had a client run for president. So
yeah, it was a moral dilemma for
Right.
me. And it's not like I think he'd be a bad one,
Yeah,
to be honest.
that's funny.
We know what that looks like. What do I have in common with a 25-year-old girl that's worth $100 million?
Well, yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know,
tough.
Work stuff.
Yeah.
We find stuff to talk about. Kanye called me one day with some work questions, and we talked about our children
Cool.
for about a half hour. And then we got off the phone, and he called me back and went, man, I didn't even ask you what I what I called about. Then I go, okay, and he goes, now I can't remember what it is. They're humans.
Yeah.
The more you keep that in mind as you work for them, and they're your boss. I mean, sometimes it's hard to have a boss that's a 25-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
You know, but if it's a mutual experience where she is able to be who she needs to be by not worrying about the stuff she knows I'm going to cover for her.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I go to all the TV shows. I go to things, there's really not much reason you would think. Like the Grammys last year, they had me go, and there's really not much reason for me to go to those anymore. I like to go because as a sales guy for Claire,
Yeah, of course.
Well, you set up outside the mix trucks, and I get to talk to every engineer in business.
Yeah.
We had an issue. She came off with her slotted time, and things weren't right, and they called me to go down there, and she had that, oh my God, look, like, and once they get something in their head they're not sure about, that can destroy a performance. And I went to Michael Abbott, back to the Zappa. There is a Zappa connection to everything in
To everything that you do.
that means a shit.
Yeah.
And I went to Michael and I go, dude, I know this is a big no-no, but I got to get her back out there and let her know that it's okay. And I go and just told him straight up, she spooked. And the minute he heard that, he goes, we'll make it happen. And he went and pulled some strings, and we got her back out there. And I just stood beside her the whole time. And once she was sure it was the way it needed to, and I can't even remember what it was. Yeah, but which doesn't even matter. But once she wasn't spooked anymore, and you could see it was back.
Yeah.
You know, and then I turned to Michael and I go, dude, thank you so much. And he goes, no, it was, thanks for, because his role is to make it as good for the show as it could be. That's how the process works. You're an advocate for whatever they need you to be the advocate for. Billy Gibbons, inspiring that man he's done thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of shows. He's done it all, seen it all, inspiring him to go out there and try a little bit harder,
Yes.
or to turn it on.
Yeah.
And you could easily trick him into it. We would just go into the dressing room before the show, get him in the right conversation.
Yeah.
Right before they came in, gave him the 5-minute thing. That guy would play his ass off, and then you'd be summoned back in the dressing room after the show to continue that conversation.
Yeah.
Now, on his worst night, he's still off the charts, but make it special, and that became kind of an extra thing with that gig and that band in general, because bands get stale after a while. If you can have an impact on that, if you can make them, one of the ZZ tours, we got into remote control airplanes.
Yeah.
The band, everybody got into it, except Billy and Elwood, my brother. They got into shooting down.
As you do.
Elwood came out of the bushes one day with a BB gun while I'm flying. There's a bunch of us flying, and he goes, I bet you $100 I can shoot your plane down. And I go, I bet you can't. And he goes, $100? And I shake his hand real quick, and I go, okay. I go, you can't even fucking see it. And he goes, really? And he's standing beside me. He shot me in the side with a BB gun. And he kept shooting me until I gave him the $100. So I crashed my plane. And I go, you said you were going to shoot the plane. He goes, I said I would shoot the plane down. Shooting the pilot is shooting the plane down.
That's great. I love it. Well, Toby, unfortunately, we've run out of time, but thank you so much. And definitely we want to have you back on, and you've always got great stories to share. And thanks so much. Thanks, guys. Next week, we are dark. Remember, we are with Derek Sherinian in 2 weeks, December 22nd. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Smash like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Take care. Bye-bye.